Happy Wednesday, Broncos country. We're back for another episode of Let's Talk Broncos. I'm Brie Maestas here with Zach Seegers and Joey Richards. Guys, how are you?
I'm doing good. Um, hey, we're talking a little draft today, which is right up my alley, so I'm looking forward to it. Zach, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, feel ready to finally be kind of in some draft talk. I was
Ooh.
not doing. I was planning on not doing really. Like I was planning on doing half as much draft work this year because it was like the interest isn't going to be there. I'm busy with a lot of Broncos stuff, and now it's like, all right, time to start pouring myself into the draft. And I'm excited. The draft is fun. It's all
Yeah,
optimism.
it is all optimism, but does that mean we're looking so far into the future that this season's sort of a wash? How are you feeling about that?
No, even when the Broncos are good, I look forward to the draft. I look forward to the draft 365. It's like my favorite football thing to talk about. So honestly, no. And you're talking to the wrong two people here, Brie. I think for most people, the answer would be yes. I
Mhm.
think like Zach and I, before Let's Talk Broncos even started, we did What's on Draft, and we were planning on doing a 365 Broncos themed draft show. It's where we look forward to it all the time, or at least I do.
And then I came in and ruined all your plans, but it's a perfect segue into what is to come for Let's Talk Broncos. More content, more coverage, and draft specific coverage is coming down the pipeline. Zach, do you want to hype that up?
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't planning to be engaged with it, but I think I'll stop by every now and then now. But mainly, it's going to be Joey and a surprise secret guest to be announced later. Uh, and they're going to be talking all things draft, all things Broncos here as part of the Let's Talk Broncos show. So stay tuned for that. That's right around the corner. Yeah, just all sorts of draft stuff. That's great. That's what we're going to be talking about today because the Broncos now have draft capital and plenty of holes to spend it on. So I think we're gonna plenty of holes to fill. The one thing there I do want to comment on really quick is I made the thumbnail Bryce Young as a funny little inside joke. Just want to in case there's any outrage about like, oh my God, there's no way the Broncos would take Bryce Young. We're well aware. All of us are well aware of that. Just a funny little Russell Wilson joke.
Well, I can't
Go
wait
ahead.
till the comments start streaming in. Go ahead, Joey.
Yeah, I mean, it depends which mock draft simulator you're using, Zach. Like,
You can make some stuff happen if you want.
you're good in those mock draft simulators. I might get Bryce Young in the third. You don't know.
Oh my goodness. Hello, Frankie Abbott, for joining the show. He's excited about draft coverage here. Mundungus Creevy over from the MHRT network. That's what Bree does, just ruins plans that people had. Like, listen, stuff comes up. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't know we were still holding on to that stuff. Joey Richards posted a poll over on Twitter with the recent trade of Bradley Chubb. What position do you hope Denver drafts with their first round pick? Obviously, it's going to be dependent on talent available, but wondering where he should start his studying. He had inside offensive line, so obviously tackle, wide receiver, cornerback. Remind me who else was on there?
Offensive tackle. It was interior offensive line, offensive tackle, cornerback, and wide receiver.
Perfect. Okay, so there's a little bit of a hint in there as to probably what the Broncos are going to do. But Joey, what did you derive from that poll from Broncos country?
Yes, it ended literally just a little bit ago. Coming in with 1,000 votes on the dot. Offensive tackle won in a landslide. That's where people want us to start studying, and it makes sense, right? When you look at the roster, like, man, has right tackle just been a revolving door. The right tackle carousel is crazier than the Broncos quarterback carousel. The right tackle carousel is out of control. We haven't had a consistent right tackle since Orlando Franklin. And I don't know if you guys have seen Orlando Franklin yet, but he's lost like 200 pounds and is talking football now, not playing. It's been a complete revolving door, and I'm so ready to finally end that, or at least get the opportunity to hopefully, at least take a shot at a guy in the draft and try to develop him and try to make him into a right tackle instead of just going vet, and none of them are really the long-term answer.
I do think one thing to mention here, it's hard to find tackles outside of the top 20. I think in a perfect world, tackle is the solution. It's what the Broncos need most. I understand why it won the poll. Ideally, you would get a first round prospect at tackle rather than those other positions. I'd be worried because when you look at the history of tackles drafted between pick 20 and pick 70, it is a graveyard. It's an area where people are really trying to squint and take lower round kind of traitsy guys, or maybe polished prospects that are trait deficient, and try and convince themselves they're players they might not be. You look at 2018, the guys that fit that range. It's Isaiah Wynn. It's who are the other ones? Brandon Parker. It's Brian O'Neill is the one hit in there. I'm spacing. Austin Corbett is the other, who didn't work at tackle, had to kick into guard. And all things considered, that wouldn't be the worst solution for the Broncos. You look at 2019, and it's Titus Howard and Andre Dillard and Caleb McGarry, who's actually turned it around this year, and Jawan Taylor and Greg Little, and Dalton Reisner. And Max Sharping. Let's see if there's any others. Those are the guys that fall into that range. And so it's scary. I don't know. It's a gravy.
It is, but just completely ignoring it isn't the answer either. Like at some point you have to at least try to take a shot. And the Broncos have just ignored it. They've ignored it. It's not been a position that they've even attempted, like even to take a traitsy guy in the third or second. Like the Broncos have completely ignored this tackle position. Honestly, it's just from a fan's perspective, it's frustrating having to walk into every season being like, all right, who's the Broncos' new right tackle? Because they're not even going out and signing like right tackles that are very great, right? They're taking shots on vets that could hopefully come and turn around. We saw it this year, Billy Turner, right? Finally, he's healthy, but for a long time there, people are like, is he ever going to get healthy? Because we signed the guy off at injury. Like, it's just like what the Broncos have been doing, and it's getting frustrating, honestly.
And they do, to be clear, I'm not arguing they ignore the tackle position. I'm just saying don't be one of the many teams that falls victim to drafting the position and not the player when it comes to tackle in that range between 20 to 70. Go BPA. Like the Broncos need talent at a lot of areas. I don't think it's just tackle or nothing. They could use infusion talent at wide receiver. Anywhere along the interior offensive line should have gotten more love in that poll, because I think that's a maybe even bigger concern than offensive tackle right now. Defensive line could use the infusion of a first round talent too. Cornerback, absolutely. I just take a really great player. Don't be one of the many teams that takes forces themselves to take a Max Sharping, because
Mike said, honestly, would rather take a defensive end or a wide receiver in the first round. Frankie Abbott comes in with, I hope Peyton is open to all possibilities. If a good prospect slips, I hope he'll consider a slight move up. If no one's there, move down. I think we've seen George Payton do exactly that, not be afraid to move around when needed if he's eyeing a certain player. Robert Armstrong has a question, though. Why trade for Edmonds? I've seen high schoolers better than him. Interesting. Zach, can you go ahead and take that for me?
Yeah, and then I want to go back more into the Frankie thing, because I think whether they're going to move up or move down, there's a lot there. But the Edmonds thing, I kind of disagree with Armstrong. I think he's been a little disappointing this year, but you look at what he was doing in Arizona, he was fantastic. Like he was outperforming Kenyon Drake before. And I mean, like Kenyon Drake wasn't great, but like those first years in the Cliff Kingsbury offense, their run game was consistently among the most efficient in the NFL. As weird as that sounds with how terrible that offensive line is, and you think of Cliff Kingsbury as this air raid, throw the ball all over the yard type of guy, but their run game was wildly efficient, and Chase Edmonds was the best back in that backfield. He's a few years removed from that, but Denver's desperate for running backs, and I wouldn't be surprised if 2 weeks from now, Edmonds is the best back in the room. I also wouldn't be surprised if he's the worst, but they need an infusion of talent. Let's see what happens.
Do you want to hop in the Frankie one?
You said,
yeah. Sorry about that. On the trade up and down, That's something that I think is really interesting because I don't think the Broncos are done adding picks this year. And the number one way to do so might be trading out of that pick 20 spot. I think there'll be plenty of there are some tackles in this draft. There are some wide receivers in this draft. Maybe an edge rusher falls and the Broncos go, we feel good with our edge group. Nonetheless, we're going to trade it. That could be another good way to rack up a second round pick, or maybe you get 2 second round picks for the 1 first, or who knows. But I think George Paton's not done adding picks, and the easiest way to do that is probably trade down a little bit.
Totally. The only thing I always think about this, like, so if you're trading out of the first, obviously I'm just laying out the options here, right? You're grabbing more mid-round picks. And like Frankie said in the chat right here, the difference between the talent there around 25 or like 35 is usually like, it's just like not like a huge thing. Like it's not, it's usually around the same type of talent level. You can get guys like that. But if you're trading back into the second round, now you're giving up a 5th-year option. Right, which is somewhat of a bigger deal, and that's why people like trading up from the second round to the first round, and different stuff like that. But I'm not against it either. I think I pretty much agree. Like you can find the same caliber of players early in the second as you can late in the first, while adding additional ammo. And when you're a confident GM like Peyton is, I would imagine that he feels pretty confident about attaining talent in that on the day too. You're on mute.
You're muted.
Of course I am. Why wouldn't I be? I was trying not to breathe into my mic. I didn't know if Zach was going to add anything to that, but I did want to also grab Mike's comment here. I think the play of the O-line when Glasgow came in at center changes things draft-wise. Calvin Anderson held it down at left tackle, and Glasgow was a beast. How do you guys feel about that? We've obviously been pushing a lot for Calvin Anderson to see what he can do. I'm glad to say I think I saw improvement there on the left side. But, Joey, I want you to take this question and tell me what you see out of Calvin Anderson. Was it enough? And is Glasgow doing okay at center?
Yeah, Frankie has a really good – go to Frankie's Films on Twitter, and he has a really good film, just cut-ups of Calvin Anderson this last game, and it was encouraging to see. Now, one thing for sure, every time I see Calvin Anderson at left tackle, he looks better than he does at right tackle. So if that's something that, going into the future, if you're looking to extend Calvin Anderson, I wouldn't really want to extend him as my starting right tackle. It would be my left tackle or swing tackle, right? That's the more way I would look at it. But with Garrett Bowles coming off an injury and different stuff like that, I know Benjamin Albright was in my comments hinting at that, Garrett Bowles could be a candidate for more of a restructure or he's gone type situation. So that would be interesting there. But yeah, that's just what I have there.
Yeah, I'm going to look up what a Garrett Bowles restructure would save the team. But I know cutting him saves 10, as does trading him. There's really no financial difference between cutting and trading him. If they want to do it after June 1st of next year, they're going to save, I believe, $14 million against the cap. $14 million against the cap. They'll only take on $4 million in dead cap as opposed to $8 million in dead cap and $10 million in savings. Right now, when you look at the smoke that's coming out, and I think it's something we were talking about the show, we've been hearing this smoke. It's not something we've talked about on the show or anything, but all 3 of us have been hearing this smoke for a minute now. I don't know. I kind of expect Garrett Bowles to not be a long-term Bronco at this point, and that gives Calvin Anderson a golden opportunity down the stretch of this season. There's no one else for them to really bench him for at this point, so he's going to get to play. It was so frustrating how he only got to play a series against the Chargers and then was immediately benched despite not being a problem, and then was awesome in that one start. If he plays like that the rest of the way, I think you re-sign him and get a small sample size for a UDFA player. I doubt you have to pay him that much. And anything under $10 million of AAV, you're practically getting in for free when you consider how little he's making this season and the fact you're saving $10 million by moving on from Garrett Bowles.
I hate it. I do.
Wait, what did I say that cost your?
I just like,
What?
hey, we can talk about. I mean, I just got off this right tackle rant and about how the Broncos, it's been so hard for them to get a right tackle. It's hard to get, if it's this hard to get a tackle, like literally, like league average is so good because it's so few guys. I guess it wouldn't even be called league average, but average tackle play is so hard to find. If the Broncos are still trying to, in a win now window, trying to replace both tackle spots would be such a headache. And especially, like, I hope Calvin Anderson comes out for the rest of this year, right? And he balls out, but it's still somewhat of a gamble. And when you're trying to be a
Garrett
win
Bowles
now
was a
team,
problem.
ooh,
Garrett Bowles was a problem earlier this year for $18 million. I don't think it'll be that hard for Calvin Anderson. Like, I don't know. To be what will we have to be? Because you're saving $10 million on Bowles. You have to be $10 million worse than Bowles. I don't know. That's not a high bar to clear. $10 million, like Mason Bowles playing this year.
Like, being $10 million less than Bulls doesn't help you win.
No, but it's like it means you're having the same impact on the team. I'm just saying, like, I think you can, and the upgrade doesn't have to be Calvin Anderson. That's one thing. I'm saying he's got an open runway for an audition right now. Totally. Whether or not he takes advantage of it, we'll see. Whether it's a rookie or whatever, or a veteran signing, maybe that's their big free agent move. Maybe they make a trade. Trades are more common now in the NFL than ever. Right. We've seen it at tackle. I don't know what it is. I am kind of expecting it to not be Garrett Bowles because at this point, he's not playing like a player worth an $18 million cap hit or really all that close to it.
It's true. It's true. I don't think he is. I'm just arguing for the fact that, I don't know. It feels like if you're in a win now window, there's sacrifices you have to make to be in that win now window. And if that's overpaying a player for a year, it's overpaying a player for a year. I would like to be in a situation where the Broncos have it. Like, I'm going to be so frustrated if the Broncos let go Garrett Bowles, right? And then they could just go out, get another tackle, sign another good tackle, let's say, and avoid the other one. Right? So, like, what is this with the Broncos not wanting to ever have good 2 long-term tackles? It is out of control.
But I think you're fixing one problem. I don't know if you view both those areas as problems, and Garrett Bowles was not that player before suffering a very serious lower body injury that he's going to be rehabbing. I don't know. I don't think it's like, yes, let's just blow up this tackle situation for no reason. I think it's not that hard to imagine a better solution being available to them. And I'm fine with them doing that. I also think right tackle isn't as disastrous as you make it sound. You get Bobby Massey last year, and no, he wasn't a good starter, but he was a serviceable starter. You have Billy Turner this year, and he's a serviceable starter. That's nothing to get excited about. But you know what 26 out of 32 teams in the league have, at best? A serviceable right tackle. It's a problem everyone's struggling with. No one has enough corners.
I'm arguing more the fact it's not just the serviceable. I'm arguing the fact that they haven't had a long term forever. And year in and year out, you don't know what tackle play you're going to get. It's always a guessing game every single year. Now, if they get league average 2 years, we can go back to Menelik Watson, right? We could go back to Michael Schofield. Like, these are guys where it's like we don't know what we're getting year in and year out. That's more so my argument. And then, but okay, let's say this is interesting. So, how much money do they save if they cut Garrett Bowles?
It depends when. If they do it before June 1st, they will save $10 million, take on $8 million in dead cap. It's a net savings of $10 million after they take on $8 million in dead cap. If they do it after June 1st, they're saving $14 million after the taking on the $4 million in dead cap because his contract's 18.
So do you think, let's say they cut Garrett Bowles, do you think there would be, and I hate to bring this up, but do you think there would be a chance to re-sign Draymond and Chubb?
Man, this whole conversation, would there be a chance to re-sign Draymond and Chubb if they had cut Bowles? I mean, it would have made it more possible, but I think really what it came down to there was the asset allocation. I think Chubb's grave was buried when the Baron Browning and Randy
Totally.
Gregory moves were made. I think the only thing that could have saved him is because Chubb did everything in his power. I think the only thing that could have saved him was like Randy Gregory being a disappointment, which, I mean, the injuries were the big concern when they signed him, and we've seen that flare up now. And then like if Baron Browning, the edge transition didn't work, clearly that's worked. I think maybe that was the one thing they were when they went, oh, Browning looks good. We're seeing flashes out of Benito. All right. I like, it seems independent of so many variables to me because Chubb's done everything in his power to be good.
No, I agree there. I totally agree there. I was just wondering, like, I don't know, if they cut Bulls in the future, I'm wondering if that kind of evaporates the theory of that. Though the Broncos couldn't have re-signed. They had to do it because they couldn't have signed Draymond if they re-signed Chubb.
And I'm going to say the cutting Bulls conversation we just had probably could have been saved by me just looking up what the restructure would save them. If they restructure with him after this season, they'll save $7 million against the cap almost, or actually 6.3. I shouldn't.
And of course, that
takes
takes Bulls side wanting to restructure, so it still could lead to a cut. But it could, definitely, like, if you restructure him, that's a win.
But if you restructure him, he's still making $13 million a year as a tackle. Is Bulls going out and finding a deal that's better than? And then the next year he's getting 20, which, I mean, the Broncos probably get out of that. But is Bulls finding a deal that sounds nicer than that out in free agency off a broken leg? Like, probably not. Like, it, to your point, it comes down to what his camp wants to do. Do they want to restructure or not? But I would bet he is. And if you restructure him down 6.3 million, all of a sudden it's like, I don't know, can you find a better option at tackle? To Joey's point, are you better off spending your assets to fix right tackle and you trot Garrett Bowles out, or removing Garrett Bowles from the equation? And I don't know, you're only spending $11 million on Garrett Bowles at that point. I think it's hard to spend less assets and come up with a better tackle pairing.
We talk about this when it comes up with Calvin Anderson, but let's say he's doing well on the left side. You see Bowles switching over to right side.
I think I remember asking when we were interviewing Calvin Anderson about the differences, because that was a question I definitely wanted to ask him, was like, what are the differences from playing right tackle and left tackle, and how hard is that transition to make? And he admitted that it was not like it's not the easiest thing to do. Like, it's not. It's like writing right hand. You're a righty, and then you have to write with a left hand, right? That's pretty much how it was explained. And I don't think it's as easy as taking a guy that's played left tackle for so many years now and being like, oh, now you're a right tackle, go learn it. You're just trying to get something out of a player that he just doesn't know yet. And I think there would be a huge learning curve there, and it probably wouldn't even be worth it.
And he was a left tackle in college. And he learned the position older, and has been a left tackle for that whole time. And we're talking about someone who throughout his NFL career has had developmental concerns. I mean, the whole story around him finally clicking 3-4 years in was like, he was always working hard. It's just, he's a slower learner. It's harder for him to retain that information or whatever. I forget the exact story there. But that lends you to believe he's one of the players that would struggle even more with, as Joey just laid out, as a tough transition.
Yeah, I'm going to read Bill's comment here. Use Chubb's money on a premium right tackle depending on who it's free agency. How do you feel about that?
I mean, Elton Jenkins would be pretty awesome, right? A guy like that could play pretty much every position on the offensive line. Stuff like that would be awesome. I would love to get a good right tackle in the building for sure. I think it would help the offensive line dramatically. Having some consistency and having a really good player at like a bookend tackle at that on the right side of your offensive line, I would be ecstatic. Now, I'm not salary cap guy. I'm gonna throw more of my questions at Zach when that comes around. I suck at salary cap guys. Like, I am not that guy. I'm talent evaluation. I like watching football. I like studying football. I am not salary cap guy at all.
He likes the fun bits. It's like,
Yeah.
let's get the player,
Exactly.
which I totally am with. I think Elton Jenkins struggled a little at tackle. They moved him back to guard, and he's been crushing it. I wonder if maybe he is going to end up being just an all-pro guard for his career, which no complaints there. I'd still be happy if the Broncos signed him. I think my perfect world, I'm dreaming up what my perfect offseason for the Broncos offensive line is. I'd say you restructure Bowles down to that 11 million number. You keep Calvin Anderson around as the swing tackle, mainly like a backup left tackle. You let Cushion Mary go. You sign Eric McCoy. That'll be your big vet addition on the offensive line. He's a really smart center who can get your offensive line into all the right looks, because apparently that's something your quarterback that has played in the NFL for a decade can't do. So get a veteran center that can do that for him. Eric McCoy is also a shorter center, which is important because of your short quarterback that can't see the middle of the field. Scheme versatile too, as we've seen in that Saints offense that runs all sorts of stuff. Is just a really high-end player. And then draft a mid-round guard, sign a mid-level free agent guard. One of those ends up being your starter. All of a sudden, your interior offensive line goes from being a tire fire to having Quinn Miners, Eric McCoy, and then a respectable piece alongside them. Let's ride. Extension with the Saints. Oof. Missed that news because I am 2-0'd in on the Broncos. There goes my perfect offseason, folks. Hey, get Elton Jenkins. He can play every position on the offensive line, to Joey's point.
Can I push the conversation back into the draft a little bit?
Yep.
Cool. Can I get an opinion on, is interior offensive line, if you find one you really like, would that be worth a late first round pick?
I think it's got to be a difference maker. I think first round is, and not to say that can't be a guard or it can't be a center. Those guys exist, but I just think they're fewer in number. I want to spend my first round picks, and it's different if you're picking in the 20s. Like, just find a quality, like, nice starter with that pick.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it might be worth it for the Broncos position, because as we talked about, that interior offensive line is a mess, and I don't think it'll be that hard for them to solve it. If you can find a respectable free agent at either center or guard, and then draft a first-round player at the other position, that interior, which I do think is a more glaring need than tackle, even if tackle is the more premier position, will be solved. I'm annoyed that they've kicked the Cush Reisner problem down the road for so many seasons now. Like, Cushenberry struggled in 2020, as did Reisner, and it was like, oh, they'll be better next year. And then they struggled in 2021. Oh, they'll be better next year in the new offense. And they're struggling again this year. And it's like, let's get off this carousel. That's the one that's driving me crazy, like right tackle is Joey.
Yeah. See, I asked this question exactly because of what Frankie is saying. Like, you're not going to be taking, you could be like elite guards or centers could be in the draft, and they're not going to be going in the top 15. So what's going to end up happening is they're going to fall down later in the first round. And obviously those elite talent type of guys are going to have a higher hit rate, which is why you're seeing centers and guards, like to Frankie's point here, hit rate on some of those centers and guards in the 20s has actually been pretty good. I could see myself talking. I could see myself falling in love with a guy like last year. Kenyon Green was a dude I loved. I loved Kenyon Green's game. I could see myself talking, like getting myself into a center or guard late first round, primarily because you can kind of see the offensive line kind of fall into place there. If Garrett Bowles was your left tackle, Zion Johnson slid to like 17 last year. Exactly. Kenyon Green went 20. These are all the points. Yeah. These are all really good players.
And Zion was like so flawless. Like, he just, and he had like the athletic stuff that makes you think he can reach a pretty high ceiling. He was just such a clean prospect. It was just like, he didn't get a lot of talk pre-draft because it was like, okay, it's just this really good guard, maybe not a generational guard, but he's just A+. He's awesome. There's not many flaws to his game. He'll get picked high. I wouldn't mind that at all. If you get a Kenyon Green or Zion Johnson type, I think that's and that's what I mean by a difference-making guard. Like if you're taking a guard in the first, like I don't want a Joshua Garrett or Garnett or whatever that guy the 49ers took. But I'd be open to a Kenyon Green, a Zion Johnson type of prospect. Bill asking, what's the team think of Luke Wattenberg? I think they're optimistic, but we're talking about a late 5th round pick. I don't think anyone should be banking on him being a starter next year. He was a very raw traits-based pick. If he's starting in 2024, I think you're excited. Hopefully he's a really good backup for him. If he's just a really good backup for the length of his rookie contract, he will have his draft status.
Anything to add on that, Joey?
No, I think we kind of hit on that interior offensive line thing. That was a point I just wanted to make because every single year I end up falling in love with the interior offensive lineman that I wouldn't mind taking late in the first. And I think it could help the Broncos if you're looking at a player or a position that I think you can draft that fits a team that is looking to win now and it fits a need. Interior offensive lineman makes a ton of sense. Frankie brought up safety as well. He was messaging me about this earlier. Safety is a good one. Especially he brought up the point, like if Stern's hip isn't all the way right, safety is a dark horse, especially with Kareem Jackson getting his age. I doubt he's back on the team next year. Safety makes a little sense. It does make a little sense.
I'll give you a dark horse one that I actually have above safety that people aren't talking about because you don't want to believe it's a dark horse, but I think it is. And Joey, I could see it in his face. Running back. Keep an eye on running back. Why? Because George Payton has proven, one, he doesn't care about positional value. 2, he likes drafting running backs high, dating back to his Minnesota days. And 3, the Broncos' need at running back is greater than their need at safety. Actually, number 4, Javonte Williams' injury is way more concerning than Caden Stern's injury, and you don't have a guy like Justin Simmons already installed in that position room. It is a wasteland at running back. I'm not saying I would do it. I'm not saying they should do it. But if the Niners pick ends up being like 17 and Bijan Robinson, who's a super special running back prospect, probably a top 5 player in this class, not a guy I would take there, but top 5 player in this draft is on the board at 17. I'm telling you, George Payton could 100% do it. That is a dark horse that should keep Broncos country up at night.
As Bill said, don't sleep on Gibbs either. I could definitely see this. I hate it.
Gibbs. I hate it. Bijan. And honestly, I would not like the acid allocation.
I hate it.
I wouldn't mind if Bijan Robinson was a Denver Bronco. In a vacuum. Forget about the picks. You don't like Bijan Robinson? I'm saying forget about the picks. In a vacuum. The idea of Bijan
if I could draft Bijan Robinson, if I could draft Bijan Robinson in the 7th, I would take him. Yes, I would love Bijan Robinson on the team, but we're not. My argument, exactly, Frankie. We didn't jump for a running back. Like this would be, people would be losing their mind.
It's something Payton would do. He does not care about positional value.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this would be a sad story.
You guys are funny. You're making me laugh.
Can I ask you a question?
No, I don't really want to talk.
Watching us go back and forth.
I'm shopping for the Titans game. I'm trying to see if I can get a flight out there. But while you guys are talking about the draft, I'm really interested as to what Joey is going to ask me.
No. You're not getting off that. You're secretly shopping for tickets to Nashville after all the shit I caught. Wow, on this. This is ridiculous. This is insane. Everyone who knows what I'm referencing, Bree has been exposed. Continue,
Let's talk Broncos to we're gonna go to Nashville. I thought you knew. Joey, what was your question?
I don't want to get you in the conversation here, Bree. What position would you say the Broncos' number 1 need is? Like if you could just take any person.
I voted wide receiver just because I think that but I was under the impression they were going to trade Jerry Jeudy. And when they didn't, that kind of opens the floor of that's probably not where you're going to spend your pick if it wasn't high on your priority to get more picks. We had a long conversation in the Let's Talk Broncos chat, but I do think tackle is going to be one of those high value ones where it's been an issue. And you already said it, which is why I didn't chime in there, is it's been an issue and there's been nothing done about it. So I think that it will continue to be an issue. But now with the new head honcho and George Payton, I'd hope he'd be taking a look at this. They seem to have a lot of faith in Reisner since they've kept him around in Glasgow. So I don't know. The line seems like it's not the biggest of their concerns. I'm shocked to hear safety. I kind of wanted to hear more about that. Is it because you had somebody on your radar that you were hoping for, or I think that was mostly Frankie?
Yeah, I haven't gone much into like who I would actually take at that position, but it is another one of those positions where it's rare you're going to see like interior offensive line. It's just not a highly valued position, so it's rare you're going to see the best prospects at the position go early, which means that you're going to get more of the ready-made ones down the road later in the first round. And with the situation that we're in right now, who knows? I don't really know what's up with Caden Stern's hip. Like, right? I don't think Kareem Jackson is on this team past this year. Is PJ Locke ready to step up? These are all questions you have to ask yourself. This is crazy, by the way. Can I acknowledge this? Mid-pod planning to go to a game is nuts. It's nuts. It's nuts, especially because I think I've said it on this podcast in the Mile High School
studio. Buried for
Nashville. I always was like, Nashville sounds fun. We should go to Nashville. You know,
you have said that. This was a crushing blow to our friendship, and it happened live on air.
I wasn't really, but I got a text that we should go to the game.
What do you mean it wasn't?
We should.
What do you mean you weren't really? Well, this is some. Hey, Broncos don't need to look for a defensive back in the draft with Bree backpedaling like this.
Bree's our first round safety. That's crazy.
That's ridiculous. You guys are the worst. I thought it would be funny to say, and then it actually got the reaction.
I think wide receiver, to your point, should not be entirely slept on. The tough thing is, who are they starting over? It's a point Joey has brought up when we've discussed the wide receiver thing, now that they're keeping Jerry Jeudy. Are they keeping Jerry Jeudy, or are they keeping him past the deadline? I think they're keeping him past the deadline. If I would not be surprised in the slightest if they trade him this offseason. I wouldn't bet on it either. Hey, if he keeps playing like he has the last 4 or 5 weeks, they're going to keep him and feel real happy about their wide receiver room, I think. They'll probably infuse it with some talent, but not into the mid to later rounds where you can still find some good wide receiving talent. But I wouldn't be surprised if they trade Jeudy for a second-round pick this offseason and then take a wide receiver with one of those top 2 picks. It's been proven by plenty of teams all around the league, whether it's the team drafting them or a team like the Eagles and Dolphins trading for them. You can find some game offensive weapon at wide receiver early in the draft, whether it be first round or even second round. A guy like Deebo Samuel, who transformed San Francisco's offense.
Yeah, I don't really want to get back into this conversation. Zach and I argued about this in the Let's Talk Broncos chat this morning. I was more. Am I cool if I bring this chat up, Zach?
Yeah, I think you're fine. I'm
okay. I just don't want to expose messages live on the pod. But I was more on the side that was I don't know, I wouldn't do it. Zach was like, it's pretty good value. I would probably do it. That was kind of the rehash. We'll definitely have one of those conversations, another pod. That was a good conversation.
Yeah, I'd.
Frankie asked it
for the next one. Yeah, well, we can
next
do a
pod.
quick version.
Next pod. Let's go in depth on it. Next pod.
Joey's question of the day for Friday. Stay tuned.
Yeah. We're gonna tease this one so that you guys can get into it and discuss that on Friday's pod. I won't be there. So Frankie, you're more than welcome to join the show and talk about your question if you'd like to. I'm just offering up my seat now. I'm like, whoever wants to step up can take it. But since you said Joey's question of the day, we are at 40 minutes. Did you guys want to touch anything else before we get to our next segment?
I think I'm okay.
Sounds good. I didn't care. Joey's question of the day.
Question of the day.
Okay, guys. Okay, I won't even lie. This is
Brought to you by Kiki Booty, the younger Jerry
This
Judy.
is slowly turning into just Joey's segment of the day, which was my plan all along. So we're playing a game today. It's Broncos Guess Who, right? I'm going to give you. So I'm thinking of a specific player in my head, and I'm going to give you guys some hints. And then when you guys think you have the player in mind, let me know. Okay, stop me.
Okay.
You guys understand the rules? You think?
No, but go for it.
He's gonna give us hints. We're trying to guess which player he's talking about.
It's a current Bronco, and I'm going to give you like facts about this Broncos player, and you just stop me when you think you have a guess.
Okay.
Buzz in.
And chat can get involved as well, but you guys aren't allowed to look at the chat. I'm looking
Close
at you
the
guys.
I don't look at the chat. I'm looking at my soundboard.
Close
right
the
now. I don't
chat,
have the
Zach.
open.
Yeah,
It's closed. I've got the soundboard open.
I don't believe
Okay.
you. So this player has been in the league since 2014. He's
Okay.
He went to the University of
2014.
Pittsburgh.
Oh man.
Okay, nothing yet.
I feel like I should know it. No. Keep going. Yeah, I don't have it yet. I'm so mad.
He's undrafted.
Since 2014. Wait a second.
University of Pittsburgh, undrafted.
Undrafted?
Yes. Next, 5 seconds. I'm gonna go to the next one. If anyone has it, throw it in.
Oh, is it
He's
Never mind.
5'9".
I can see that people are in the chat right now, and I want to look at it so bad, but I can't.
He's
Um,
next one. He's 5 foot. This is what we have so far. He's 5'9". He's undrafted. He went to the University of Pittsburgh, and he's been in the league since 2014.
Darius Phillips. I agree with the next
He's
guess.
currently dealing with a hand injury.
He's got a hand
Who
injury.
is the? Oh, no, it's not who I thought you were doing Marlon Mack for a second as a bit, but it's not Marlon.
He wears the number 21, and then I have one last hint.
Oh man, the disrespect. Oh, I'm so mad we missed it. I didn't know what college he went to. I didn't think he was in the league. that long. I'm so mad. Yeah. Oh man.
I'm so
that's
mad
sad.
that
I
the
feel
hand
terrible.
injury threw.
What if I got some of these wrong?
bigger than
Did I get any of these wrong, Chad?
No, now that you said it, I think you're 100% right. He did go to Pittsburgh. I don't know for a fact if he was undrafted. I thought what threw me off. I did not think he was that old. I thought he was more like a 2016, 2017 guy, and I did not think he was quite 5'9" because he just plays so much bigger than that. Oh man, I'm embarrassed to have missed that one. I've been stumping for K'Wan Williams and saying he needs more love, and I totally forgot about my guy.
Yeah, you guys are haters. Anyways, I stumped you guys. This one might be reoccurring because I had fun with it. So
That's a fun game.
That is a fun game. Good job, Joey. We want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, listening to us talk some more Broncos draft coverage. As we have already spoken to, we'll ramp up here on Let's Talk Broncos with some special guests coming on to cover these topics. Where can
announcement
everybody find
coming
this stuff?
soon.
Announcement coming soon. Surprise.
Coming soon to a pod near you.
I just asked.
Yeah.
Did you throw it at me? Sorry. Yeah. Everyone, go follow me at JR Drafts. Make sure you're looking out for the announcement. He's been in the chat the entire time. Who we're thinking of, and we're going to do a formal announcement, draft themed content coming to you from me, from somebody else, from the Let's Talk Broncos. Announcement coming soon. Everybody, be on your radars. This is the reason why you need to follow the Let's Talk Broncos YouTube, the Let's Talk Broncos Facebook, the Let's Talk Broncos Twitter. This is why. This is where all of this content is going to be. And I'm having some conversations here, and we're going to start busting our ass to get some good content out there. We have some cool stuff coming. I started studying. I have some cool stuff coming. So everyone, pay attention to that. Everyone, go follow me at JR Drafts. That's all I have. Zach, where can they find your amazing work, man?
Well, really, I just want to say, make sure you do stay tuned for that Joey podcast, because not only is it going to be the best draft coverage out there, they're going to be digging into the nitty gritty of issues you want to hear LTB's thoughts talking theology, which one's right. They're going to be talking politics, which one's right. Conspiracy theories, Bigfoot, is he real? Just all the coverage
Tom
you
Compton.
need, so go check that one out. Tom Compton, where is he? Are these blurry photos of the actual offensive lineman, or is it a man in an offensive lineman?
Where is he? We're going to be breaking
I think it's
down
an
the
offensive
mystery of
lineman.
Tom Compton live on the
it's an offensive
podcast.
lineman.
It's going to be crazy. Yeah, by the time we're done, there's going to be a documentary out on Tom Compton. Like, where is he? We're going to all be on a search for him. Anyways, Zach, continue.
Yeah, find me on Twitter at Zach_Seegers. Find all my writing at milehighsports.com. I've got tons of stuff over there. I just wrote like in a 1,000-word piece grading both the Bradley Chubb and Jacob Martin trade. So if you want some nitty-gritty details on that, go check it out.
Fantastic. I was trying not to highlight that. What?
Sorry, there was dead air and I was,
That was crazy.
You can go follow me on Twitter, BreeMaestis303, and you can also find me Mondays on the Fan Cave. Zach Seegers likes to join the show where we talk all things Denver Broncos, NFL football on the Fan Cave 1 to 2 p.m. Mile High Sports Radio. You can also find me there with the Fan Cave throughout the week, but most importantly, every single day here with the Let's Talk Broncos crew. I just lied straight to your faces because we won't be chatting with you tomorrow, but we'll be back Friday and Saturday for special episodes as we enjoy the rest of this bye week. You guys have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.